Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Eye on Icon. Today we are excited, very excited actually, to have our first ever guest on the show, nBlaze, and he's going to run us through the excellent new DApp that he's building, which is EPICX. And we have a whole bunch of news as well to run through. So let's just dive in. And as you know, this podcast is brought to you by ICONPLUS. So Icon Grapher, how are you doing today?
Well, I've just been watching those charts, and every day, just pretty much every day, it keeps getting better and better. Yesterday was a bit of a, it was a little bit too much red for my taste. I'd say the last week or so has probably been one of the more fun ones, certainly in the last couple of years, if you're an icon holder.
Ah, what a recovery though yesterday, right? It was like everything go down, but Icon was like, nope, 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 back up we go. Yeah, it's been it was a roller coaster of a day yesterday, but an excellent recovery. And I know I woke up this morning and it had all gone from, well, American dollar, it went down to $1.20 and now it was up to $1.84, and I was like, ah, good morning.
Yeah, it's there's so many nights during the bear market where you go to sleep and then wake up and it was 20% lower. So it's nice to wake up and see it. Well, in this case, it was what 40% higher, 30% higher, something crazy like that. So, I feel pretty confident saying the bull market's pretty well underway. And certainly the altcoin bull market seems to be certainly picking up. I've heard there was a lot of people trying to figure out, oh, what's causing the price to pump. From my perspective, I think it's a lot of different things. Part of it's obviously the whole market as a whole is doing well. I think the other part of it is ICX, to my understanding, was sitting under a few hard resistances for a while, so breaking through those kind of created a lot of momentum. And obviously, once you reach a certain amount of gains in a day, everyone starts to get FOMO.
Mm.
And others felt there was a lift in marketing. I think part of that is whenever the price goes up, people start talking about the price, and thus talking about the price means talking about the token, and so it feels like there's a lot more activity and things like that. I think it's just a confluence of events. I think, you know, I'm deciding how much to credit this part of it, but obviously, Min seems to have rejuvenated himself on Twitter. Seems to be having a lot more fun than he has over the years. He's getting into some memes. Obviously, the kind of the I would say the big catalyst for that initial pump above $1 was his mention of airdrops. Well, I guess he said airdrop initially, and then or he made sure to point out that he meant airdrops plural.
Mm.
And so, I think anytime you say, hey, if you hold this token, you get something else in return, it certainly helps motivate people to buy the token. So, I'm very excited to see what that might bring as far as the airdrop. A lot of different theories and ideas get tossed around on Twitter and Telegram and things like that. So, just another thing we have to be excited about.
Yeah, agree. Look, it was Min, Ricky, all of them, like a coordinated force came out, tweeting and going berserk. Actually, if I remember, finished our last episode, and a day later this happened. It was quite entertaining to see, and
I mean, it could have been our episode that got it all going. I'm not going to reject that credit. That's for sure.
you know what? I agree. I agree. And you're right. Even with Mins, I noticed a lot of people making different picks and things like that. And he's getting right in there, making requests, wanting his face on things. Um, yeah, it's been really entertaining, good to see. And on all fronts, not just playful, he's responding to questions and really engaging with the community. It's great. It's what I know. People have been vocal about just in general from the Icon Foundation and the guys out there, and all of them have been yeah, just fantastic. So it was, and then as if on cue, price has just skyrocketed. It's just been great for the community all round.
Yeah, and it's even more. We've got this airdrop news to figure out,
Mhm.
and we still have all those loads of other good projects coming down the pipeline. Scott Smiley had alluded to one on Telegram that revolves stablecoin trading. So just another DeFi product
Yes.
that's was previously unannounced, I guess still unofficially announced. That's coming down the pipeline. So clearly, everything's kind of lining up nicely. That you got the bullish momentum, you got the actual these products launching. And even Marcus from Hyperconnect, he had said, this doesn't even include the unannounced projects. So then you
Mm.
say, oh, good, there's unannounced projects. So it's just everything's lining up quite nicely.
Yeah, and even as of right on cue, all this news and Icon Plus announces their collaboration with Hashoshi, which is quite big, and it's great because he brings that educational perspective across the entire crypto space. So it's a fantastic collaboration at the right time. It was really good to see, and I know the community reacted extremely positively to that news as well. There's a lot of love out there for his channel.
Yeah, and there's so many YouTube personalities out there who just kind of, I think their goal is just to talk about as many tokens as possible to get as many eyeballs as possible, and they
Mm.
don't always necessarily do the underlying research or fully understand what they're talking about. And I think it leaves, it certainly leaves the community less informed than beforehand. Whereas Hashoshi really goes out of his way to really understand what he's talking about and provide a lot of insight. So, if we're going to be coordinating with YouTube personalities and things like that, it's certainly much more in that category that I appreciate, where much more credible voices, and who are a lot more thoughtful, and can bring a lot more to the table, in my opinion.
Yeah. Then, this I do recall as well. After we finished recording, news broke out of, that perhaps Binance was launching a node. And yeah, everyone was asking questions. I know even in show comments, someone had asked, "Is this true?" Obviously, there was nothing official. And then yesterday, just when the price tanked of the crypto market, this news broke out, and there was no stopping it. There was a mass correction. Binance launched as a node. They've offered a range of products under that, and one of their products is a 15-day staking period where you get 21% reward. Now, that is one call out there is limited to 500 ICX per user, but it was just great timing as we've seen this big push from everyone, and Binance comes out there with support for ICX staking, just an avenue for someone to be able to purchase ICX and then partake in those fantastic rewards that we get as iconists.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit that I was a bit of a skeptic as far as whether Binance, it was actually a legit Binance that was setting up a node, or just someone trying to kind of scam off their name. And I was a few times I'd said I don't think it's Binance, so I will happily cop up to that and say I was wrong. But I'd certainly rather be wrong in that case than right. So clearly, it just provides another incentive to purchase ICX. Obviously, Binance is able to profit a little bit from that, just in the sense that you have all these people who are buying it. As you alluded to, there's a bit of a different structures as far as different durations and certain maximum amounts and certain rates that each kind of tier provides you. They're providing rates that are pretty competitive relative to even ICX's standard network rate of
Mm.
which I think is around 13% today. I'm kind of curious how they're doing that. I think part of my theory is that if they're a node operator, they're obviously earning a lot of return for that. So they might just be simply passing along what they are earning as a PREP to their earners, but they might have other ways they're doing it too. I don't know
Mm.
if they'll disclose that or not. I always kind of, whenever I see numbers that high, I kind of say, where do they get that extra money from? But there's obviously, Icon obviously provides a couple mechanisms for that to happen. Another bit of news is METX. They're a PREP. They have their in-house token called the ME. It's spelled METX. I guess pronounce it METX. That's how I'll pronounce it, at least. They have been rewarding their stakers with their token for, I believe, since the beginning of the year. And they are just some background. They're a PREP that operates staking on other different services. More importantly, though, from my perspective, is they've partnered with Ramp DeFi, which some people who may or may not have heard of. And Ramp DeFi is working on interchain DeFi, kind of cross-chain solutions. So it should expand, kind of further provide additional DeFi benefits for us. I'm actually working on a lengthy article kind of explaining this whole thing, because I think METX popped up, and they've had some good news, but I think people have struggled to kind of put it all into context.
Mm.
So I'll be coming out with that hopefully pretty soon here. But the actual piece of news is that they are announcing a trading competition for the token. And you have to utilize it on UTrade, which is obviously on the Unified protocol. I think by now a lot of people are pretty familiar with that. It's the kind of become the go-to AMM automated market maker on the Icon system. So we'll put a link to the actual competition in the show notes, but basically they're giving away 500,000 METX tokens over the course of the competition lasts a week. And there's a number of different structures to it, but the long and short of it is basically if you buy or sell or provide liquidity for the METX token on Unify, you're basically entered as a contestant with a chance to win. So if you're interested in that, certainly check out the link. It'd be a great way to generate a good amount of activity on both UTrade as well as generate some more interest in the METX token and the project itself. So certainly something interesting for all iconists to take a look at.
Look, I actually love this. Like, the Icon journey is just starting into DeFi, and using one of these AMMs is instrumental, and on Icon it's just a pleasure. You don't even have to worry about fees or anything. It's just quick and instant. So it's driving attention to that platform. I know as soon as I saw that, I went and loaded up liquidity in there just so that I can earn myself some up tokens if it does generate a fair bit of trading during that time. And on
And I did the same.
and on the side, every trader is earning a bit of seed when they trade there, so that's a nice little perk there as well. So, yeah, really excited to see how that goes, and hoping we see other platforms follow that kind of, to get some interest and get some movement in their token. That would be great. Um, the other one call out I wanted to make was Icon Pinas. Recently they've been doing a ton of work as well, as always, and recently it went a little unnoticed until someone realized that they'd posted a tweet of a person wearing, an Icon shirt. Now, this person happened to be a really big model in Philippines with over 350,000 followers on Facebook. So, kudos to them. They're great reach. They really got their fan base there, and they're doing everything they can to expand the Icon name. So I wanted to give them a shout out as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of iconists I think are kind of more Western based, whether that's in America or certain parts of Europe or Australia, like yourself, and don't always kind of understand the potential that's there in Asia. Obviously, it's a Korean project, so there's everyone kind of assumes South Korea is taken care of, but there's a lot of enthusiasm for crypto in the Philippines as well. So being able to really tap into that market with a PREP team that really understands the people who live there and what they respond to and everything like that. And obviously, getting someone with 350,000 followers in that country and probably pretty dedicated followers,
Mm.
that's certainly a plus for the platform. And then our last little note is the Spartan node, who has actually ascended up to, I believe, number 2 now on the PREP list as far as the rankings of votes are concerned. They've kind of started to detail their proof of, they call it the proof of momentum concept relating to their token that they distribute. And basically what it is you're essentially required, if you hold that token, you're essentially required to move it. I believe they said every 48 hours or within every 48 hours. And if you don't move it, it gets burned. So you might be kind of looking at the surface and say, well, what's the point of that? But the premise behind kind of what the Spartan node team is trying to do, at least one of the things they're trying to do, is really trying to generate a lot more transactions on the Icon network itself. And so obviously, if you create a pretty strong incentive for people to move that token around, it's going to create a lot of transactions. So I don't know how many transactions it's necessarily going to create. And obviously it's a different type of economic activity. But I do, I'm interested to see how it plays out. And I also think it could be interesting to see kind of what other stuff sprouts around it. Maybe someone builds some sort of decentralized bot where you can kind of quote unquote stake your tokens in there and then automatically moves them every 47 hours or something like that, which it creates another opportunity for innovation and a way to kind of maximize the value of that token. So really interested to see that play out. We link the Medium article in the show notes so you guys can learn a bit more about that. And a lot of enthusiasm obviously behind the Spartan node. If you haven't heard of them yet, be sure to read more about them.
Yeah, look, I think this is it. I just love the give it a try. It's something different, maybe the entire idea hasn't formed yet or won't play out until it's out there, and then something gets created from it. And I can think of a couple of things that did that on Ethereum as well. One was a streaming payment platform where it streamed you, die every second, so you just see your balance going up. And at the start, it's like, yeah, that's cool, but who's going to use it? And then they got bought out, and venture capitalists, and now it's a big platform on the Ethereum service. So look, this is very different. However, you just don't know what from trial and error is going to eventuate from it. So I'm excited to see how this plays out, and great work to them. They're actively trying to contribute to the Icon ecosystem as well, which has been great.
Absolutely. So we've done 4 episodes now, I believe, of this podcast. All of them you've only been able to hear just myself and Fez talk. But from the get-go, we always envisioned having some guests in the future, and we're proud to say that we have our first one today. It is Dillian Georgiev from. He's also known as nBlaze. He's on the ICON Midos P-Rep team. He has been working tirelessly along with the rest of the team on a platform called EPICX. It's spelled EPICX. What it is it's a gamified trading platform that allows users to, and I'm giving a very simple definition of it, but basically allows users to make predictions on the price of given, whether it's price of icon or other different pairs, and do so in a competitive manner against other users. So I gave the oversimplified version of it, but we had a really good interview. He's very clearly excited about the project. There was a lot more I learned about it, and I'm really excited about it now too. And it's actually launching a bit sooner than I had anticipated. So it was a very successful interview, and we're certainly hopeful that you'll enjoy it as much as we did.
Yes, look, I loved it. He was extremely passionate through the whole way and excited about everything. Time was the only limitation in this interview. One thing I will call out, like what I actually I got excited about the tokenomics of the platform that's being built. A lot of thought has gone into that, and with the end user in mind always. So that was great to see. And he drops a couple of little hints right at the end about BTP and interoperability. And the fact that he's building a DApp on Icon, however, very much given thought to how it can cross connect to other chains, has got me very excited. And he drops a little bit of information right at the end, so really tune in. And he's looking forward to. We've warned him about everyone coming in with questions and excitements after they listen to this podcast, so he's really looking forward to hearing from all the fans. Yeah.
Well, so without further ado, here's our interview. Okay, our guest today is Dillian Georgiev. He's also known far more throughout the community as nBlaze, and he's part of the ICON Midos P-Rep team. And if you aren't aware, he and his team have been hard at work on their gamified trading platform. It's called, I always pronounce it as EPICX. It's spelled EPICX, obviously the ICX for the token. The initial version, I guess you could say, of this platform was known as FutureICX, and it allowed users to compete against each other to prove who's the best at predicting the price of ICX on a given date. And those who got it right or got the closest could end up winning ICX for that kind of a gambling gaming platform. But EPICX, the newest iteration, promises to be a huge upgrade with a lot of new features, slick user interface, and a lot more trading options and pairs for users. So welcome, nBlaze.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be on your podcast.
So let's start. Why don't you just tell us about how you got into crypto, how you came, and then crypto generally, and then Icon specifically.
Sure. Yeah, it all started with I was actually trading forex a long time ago, and I wasn't like a professional trader, but I did well, I would say. And I decided to move on to the crypto market because it's very fast, very well dynamic. But my first experience with Bitcoin was actually around 2013, 2014, I think, where I have actually went into different cracking forums. I don't know if you guys have been to one of those. They're like forums in which you can like get different games or different movies or something like that. Like you can get them cheaper. Didn't have like much money back then, so I used one of those. The people out there just traded like Bitcoin, like for services. So this was my first experience ever with Bitcoin, and with the actual crypto, I actually got in. That's a very interesting part. I actually got in into ICX. I looked at a video on YouTube, which was hosted. I think the name of the YouTuber was Ready Set Crypto or something like that. And he was really ecstatic about Icon, actually. So I decided to follow his advice and bought near the perfect top of Icon. So I bought around $12 plus. So I spent around
But you're still around.
yeah, I am. So I spent around $10,000 for like 800 ICX. So that was a great start for me, I would say, in the crypto market. But I didn't understand the market back then. So yeah, it was quite fun. When everything started dropping down, I actually thought, okay, I don't know this market, and this guy's pretty certain, so that may be a correction or something. And he was adamant that we make this trade without any stop loss. So for the first time in my life, maybe in my trading career, I have traded without a stop loss, and it was a really great experience, I would say. So yeah, I got pretty burned out with my first experience, and it was with Icon actually. But yeah, maybe a year later, I actually liked Icon. I researched a lot about its fundamentals, about the things that are happening on the chain. So I decided to come back. I think it was 2018, like before decentralization. That's a difficult word. So the summer before that, like in the early summer, and I actually made a much more substantial investments. And since then, I'm actually on the chain. I'm pretty active on the chain, and I like everything that's happening on it, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
Well,
think.
good. Glad you stuck around.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I am as well, to be honest.
I think we all have. I have a similar story as well with really getting in there right at the top. Mastered that part. Uh,
I think that for pretty much everything that got into crypto, like the first experience was something like that.
yeah, very true, very true. So then, why don't you walk us through how the idea of FutureICX initially came about?
Sure. It's been quite a journey, to be honest. It started actually more than a year and a half ago. At the time, I was already quite active on the community, but I have decided that I would like to contribute with something more than just the occasional critique and an idea or two that I had. So as the Icon grant system was already active on the chain, I have started working on different ideas that could potentially, generate additional transactions because I wanted my my investment to prosper.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was I started off with some really simple ideas like different kinds of raffles and stuff like that. I actually have a lot of experience with different systems like that, like casino systems, like different gaming systems. I'm actually still, even in my age, like I'm 37 already, but I actually love gaming. So those kind of ideas, like the raffles and stuff, they kind of moved forwards to something more complex, to like lotteries with more complicated bonus systems. And until one night, I woke up at like 3 or 4 a.m. in the night, and I just had in my mind the early concept of FutureICX. It just popped into my head, and I just woke up and had to write it down. And since then, I have just worked on that concept since then. So in these early stages, it was just as though you guys like a rough concept. I actually had huge help in that early period from Scott Smiley, Benny Options. So I bounced a lot of ideas off him. He showed me similar applications to the concepts that I have explained. He connected me to different developers, encouraged me to start my own PREP. I honestly think that the project would not have seen the light of day if it wasn't for him. The interesting part is that he even arranged an interview where I had to present the actual concept of the application to himself and Jake Lee, and potentially get funding from ICX station without going through the grant system. On that interview, though, I was so nervous because it was like, as you can imagine, like I had to present out of nowhere to some people, and it's just a rough concept that I have. So I have completely whiffed the interview, like totally whiffed it. So the interesting part was that they were still kind enough to offer a partial grant in case that, an example, the ICON grant fails or something. So they're just amazing guys. So when I just failed that interview, that was a huge wake up call for me, and I decided to take the project much more seriously. Um, I have developed a plan. I have contacted different developers and development-based teams like peer reps, and have actually formed a partnership with Team Spartan. Now I think that they're called Stakey, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's correct.
Yeah. So yeah, Lucas was another amazing guy that I owe actually a lot to be honest, because I had no development experience at that time. So it was quite funny because he actually guided me through the whole process, and you guys probably can only imagine like what kind of experience it is when you're starting to develop an app and you have no idea about anything like related to development. I mean, I have started like several development courses in the past, but always something happened, and I got to the hello world level on each of them. So I'm not like the best developer in the world, as you can imagine. But yeah, Lucas was really patient. He guided me through the development process, explained to me very patiently like some basic concepts about the blockchain, about the actual development processes, the design process, etc. So yeah, owe a lot to him as well. I would say. So after that, it was actually pretty simple. We have applied for a grant. Not so simple, I would say, because we actually got approved for a partial grant. We weren't approved straight away for a full grant. So Team Iconation actually had to step in, and they provided the extra funding for the project. It was just really out of the blue because Radio Friendly just contacted me on Telegram and said, okay, you know what, I really like your project, the whole team likes it, so we would just like to fund fund the rest of it. So yeah, they were really great about that. So yeah, I had a lot of help from the community. I think that we have an amazing community. We also had help from different developers throughout the process, like Splint helped us out with some issues. Andrew from Rhizome also helped us with some functionalities that we had on our application. Whole Icon did a promo video. Icon Filipinas also, we had a promo with them where they have supported our project and everything. So yeah, I think that we have a really amazing community, and the project would not have been possible without it.
Well, that's certainly exciting to hear. And yeah, I was about to say that sounds like a great example of a lot of collaboration, and so, a lot of it. Not everything happens in wide open in the public, and I think there's a lot of collaboration that happens among various P reps and others that might not necessarily be in full view, but is certainly happening behind the scenes. Why don't you let's, for someone who's never used FutureICX or isn't quite clear on it, I kind of alluded to a little bit, but why don't you just kind of give a brief kind of summary of what FutureICX is, and then as kind of the second part of that answer, what new features people can expect to come with EPICX, which is kind of the FutureICX 2.0, if you will.
Sure. Yeah. Honestly, there's so many things that I would love to mention on this question, because it involves so many things that we have been working on and we are still working on. So I am aware that time is limited though, so I'll do my best not to get overexcited, and I'll try to keep it kind of short. So first of all, I would like to mention that when I think about EPICX, the FutureICX 2.0, I don't actually think about it as an expansion of the original project. I think of it more as a standalone project with a completely different scope, with a different aim, with a different structure even. So although we have kept some things from the original concept of the original app, um, I think that FutureICX was more like a rough trial, while EPICX is the actual end product that we were aiming for. So yeah, FutureICX, what it was about is it's actually like pooled trading, and I would say it's maybe an amalgamation between trading and gaming, because what you're doing is actually you're setting up different predictions about a certain time frame. So, in example, what the price will be tomorrow or after a week, and you're actually aiming to be better than the other traders. Like the better your prediction is, the higher reward you receive. And you also have like a lot of game theory, elements like you have different rewards, you have dividends that you might receive because of that. So yeah, I would say that it's a simple, but it's nonetheless it's an interesting project, not because you can just make predictions on the chain, but I think that the innovation part of it is actually the way that it's structured, because usually that kind of system involves a certain ticket system where you're buying everything at a specific cost. So, in example, you're buying one ticket which costs like 10 ICX, and in case that you win, you could be in the first like 2, 3, 5 spots, but a specific player is in those spots. The way that FutureICX works is like everyone can make their own custom wager, and when they make that wager, every single ICX that is placed in the wager is decided. Is the outcome for it is decided like an individual ticket that you have bought. So a part of your wager might come in the first place, a part of it might come on the second place, etc., etc. It's a really interesting concept, I would say. But I don't think that's the thing that we were actually aiming for in the beginning. I mean, FutureICX was actually I would say an application that we were aiming to get some transactions with. With EPICX, we are really building a product which is client-oriented. It's really a product that I would play myself, and it's really something that is complete, and it has a lot of connections between the actual products within it. So about when I talk about EPICX, I would like to say that it has been completely reimagined from the ground up. It contains several different sections, which we call games, but each of those is more like a standalone gamified trading app. So each of those could have been like a separate app on the system. So in example, the first section that we have, price prediction, it contains our original FutureICX idea, but it has been expanded to include custom-made challenges where each user can create a game instance by setting their own rules, their own preferences, and they can even set up their own reward structure. So in example, if we three decide to play together, we can just set up a custom time frame, we can set up a custom reward system, we can set custom rules, and we can also invite other people. We can make the game private, so we can make it just invite only, or we can just open it to the public as well. There's also an option for community leaders to sponsor events. We have also weekly bonuses, a weekly pre-game with an added pool, etc., etc. So there are a lot of stuff that are going on in the app upgrade, and this is just the first section that we have.
Right.
So if we go, I don't know if we have the time to go through the actual like sections. I can just explain to you guys briefly like what they're about.
Yeah, let's hit on each of them.
Sure. So in the second section, crypto duels, that's something that like it's a game where the players will be faced 1 versus 1 on a crypto bag building challenge of a sort. So the bag selection process is going to take place in several different rounds. It's kind of similar to if you guys have played some games like, an example, MOBAs or like online shooters that have these pick and ban phases. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but it's kind of similar to those. You're going through several phases in which, like, in one of the phases you can pick, like an example, one or two cryptocurrencies. In the next round you can ban two for your opponent, and you have this back and forward where you just like have the strategic element of outplaying your opponent, outthinking like the selection that he'll make. So the goal is to have
this includes pair. It's pairs. It's a whole lot of different pairs, correct? So it could be
exactly.
It could be
Exactly.
ICX BTC. It could be like ETH BTC in terms of the
Yeah.
trading pairs. Okay,
That's correct. We are aiming to have, like, on launch, we are aiming to have like 30 crypto pair options. So there'll be plenty of options to select from. So yeah, the whole game is like just the goal of the whole game is to have a bag of 5 different cryptocurrencies that you have selected, and your opponent has 5 as well, and each of your selections is matched against a specific selection of your opponents, and the one matched pair that overperforms the other, it generates a win for the respective player. So an example, if 3 of my pairs win against 3 of yours, and 2 of yours win against 2 of mine, so that means that we are 3 against 2, so I'm winning the match. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this correctly, but just
I think it's interesting because you know, if you're going against an opponent, you get to pick some of the pairs that you're trading on, but obviously some of them kind of get assigned to you based on what they picked. That's correct, right?
Yeah, that's correct. You can also ban some of their options, so it's as already that's it generates some really interesting situations in which you can strategically outthink what your opponent will do, and just make him actually lose the race because of that.
Yeah, I think it's just my little note here is I think it's interesting that I think a lot of I don't do day trading or crypto trading or know how to read charts that well, but I know some people, they'll just kind of scan charts and then they'll see a good entry or something like that based on a certain pair, whereas in this case they have to get assigned a pair and they might look at it and have it's really, the chart doesn't say anything one way or another, so it kind of it really does test skill in terms of being able to really gauge some random pair that you haven't been tracking for maybe ever or weeks or something like that, and then having to try to figure out which way it's going. Is that kind of a way that am I looking at that correctly, I guess?
Yeah, the other thing about it is like usually traders are focused on a specific pair and its movement. So in this game it actually forces you to think out of the box and to just diversify, just make sure that you're thinking about all the different options that you might have. And this way, like even though you're usually focused on like 2 or 3 specific pairs, in example, your opponent could ban two of those pairs for you. So that would mean that you have only one pair that you have been following. So you have to think on the spot and just have different selections. So yeah, I think that it could be quite fun.
Oh yeah.
Also, attached to that, there'll also be a division-based leaderboard. So a division-based, like an example, Bronze League, Silver League, Gold League, etc., etc. So you'll be aiming to go into a higher and higher league progressively. So each season, the players will have the chance to climb that leaderboard, and to the best of their abilities, of course. And the highest ranked players will receive more rewards. So that will be an interesting mechanic to observe as well. So in regards to our third game, King of the Hill, we went in a completely different way. We have set up a closed tournament system similar to the poker sit and goes, where groups of players compete against each other. For us, the standard will be like group of 9 players, but there'll be tournaments with less or more players as well. All players in the tournament will have an equal limited amount of resources called credits. And the aim of the game is that throughout the 12 game rounds, you maximize your credit amount by initiating different crypto trades. There are a few twists though. So the first one is at the beginning of each tournament, each player can select a public pair, and we call it a wild card. So the public pair will be something that all players will within the tournament will be able to trade. The wildcard will be something that only you see and only you will be able to trade. So that's sort of like your secret weapon. So it will be quite fun because each tournament you have like actually a different set of cryptocurrencies that you'll be able to trade, and that wildcard could also turn the tides in some of the tournaments as well. There'll be a lot of tournament types also to choose from, like each will be with their own specific twists of the rules, and in each tournament the players will be able to select trading, just not just the trading pass, but just the type of tournament that they'll want to play. In example, in some of them, you have the option to trade only Bitcoin. In some of them, you have the option to not option, but you start with already pre-bought cryptocurrencies, and you have to sell those in order to buy some other option. There'll be plenty of different tournament types. I think that there'll be a lot of variety with them. Also, the most interesting part, in my opinion, is the bonus system that we have. You have already probably seen that each of those subsections, each of those games, has their own bonus system. So the bonus system in this case is a global tournament that all players. It's one huge global tournament where all players could participate in. It's called the Nexus. So for the Nexus, you can only gain credits by playing King of the Hill tournaments. You know, the standard King of the Hill tournaments. Every ICX that you spend on playing King of the Hill tournaments generates you credits for the Nexus as well. And they'll also have the option to win in the Nexus. They'll have the option to win single-use power-ups, which they could use to boost or even reverse that trade. So, in example, the bull market power up gives you the opportunity in the next round to have higher cost for all sales that you do. You have the staking option in which you select one specific cryptocurrency, and in the next 3 rounds you cannot sell it, but you're receiving a return of that. So yeah, that would be a nice fun twist as well.
So in each of these games, in the different modes, how long is the duration of it? This is obviously spanning over a period of time.
Sure. So it really depends. Just first of all, I would like to confirm: are we talking about the tournaments, or are we talking about the different types of games?
The different modes. So in each of them, so you've described
Sure.
tournaments, King of the Hill.
Yeah, the crypto duels, the price prediction,
Yes.
etc. So yeah, we'll have for each of those we will have like different time frames set up. So an example for crypto duels, that will be really quick games because they're 1 versus 1. So that will usually take like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. For the King of the Hill tournaments, they will usually go around half an hour to an hour. For price prediction, it could be for a day, it could be for a week. But just keep in mind that each of those sections, it has the option for a custom game.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody can create a custom game, and they can set up like a game that will take, like, an example, 5 minutes, or it could take like a month if they want. So
cool.
they can set up their own time frame, and just players can join in. And yeah, that is how we actually go around the actual limitations of having to set up specific time frames for games as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And from what you were describing as well, it seems like whatever the player does, in some aspect there is a reward for using the platform, right? Whether you
Oh
get...
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
for sure. Also, not only the actual reward pools for the specific games, as you have probably noticed, and I have probably dove just a little bit into that, but we have game-specific reward pools, which are distributed in a different way. An example, like for the price prediction, it could be the free games, like the free weekly game. It could also be there's weekly rewards for the best performance. There's monthly rewards for the best performance as well. In crypto duels, it's the actual division-based leaderboard. So the higher you rank, the better rewards you receive, and it will be like 3 months long. So they'll be like going up and down the ladder in that time. And for an example, for King of the Hill, the Nexus, we are planning that to take like 6 months or something. So I mean, I'm saying on or something because we haven't fully decided if it will be 4 or 6 months yet, to be honest. But it will be quite long. You have the opportunity to generate a lot of rewards in that time. So that will mean that the winners of that specific tournament, that Nexus, they'll actually have pretty large prize. Also, besides that, we'll also have the dividends. We have a dividend system. I'll dive into that after we go. I think that it's better to go through the last section and then I'll dive into the actual dividend system as well if you want.
Yep.
Oh yeah, do that.
Cool. Okay.
Sure. Sorry if I'm babbling and if I'm going into too much detail. I just this is the first time that I'm actually sharing details, like more details about the application, and I'm really excited about it. So
well, I'm getting excited too. I'm about to hopefully, I'm going to ask you if it's coming out tomorrow or what. Continue.
Sure. So about the last section, against the odds, our last game, it's something that we have actually went in a completely different direction with. What we were aiming to build is something between a custom prediction market, actually custom prediction market maker like Augur, the one on the Ethereum chain. I don't know if you heard about it. And to combine that with an odds trading platform, something like Betfair Exchange or something like that. So practically, in it, everyone can create their own combination of statements, which we call a market. So everyone can create their own market. And an example, it could be something as simple as a statement as simple as Ethereum will reach $4,000 as a price like by the end of March, or ICX will be worth more than $50 on 1st of June. Or it could be something as complicated as, an example, Bitcoin will reach $100,000 and ICX will be above $30 before XRP hits $3. It could have these simple or complicated statements. So these statements are actually something that the players could agree or not agree on. So after the market is created, all players will have the opportunity to join the argument by agreeing or disagreeing with whether that statement will happen in their opinion. And not only that, but they'll also have the option to back up their opinion by placing a prediction on specific odds that they believe that most accurately represent the probability of this event to happen. So, an example, if somebody opens the market and says, you know what, I think that Ethereum will reach $4,000 by the end of March, you could just join in the market and not only agree or disagree and say, you could just say, okay, I strongly disagree. I think that the chances of that will be like 30-1, and you place a wager on that. Like that's you disagree, and you place a wager on that specific odds. So the conditions could also not be price related as well. For the moment, we have included options within the platform that are just limited to the actual platform, such as an example, player one will have more than 300 crypto doll wins by 5th of April, or simply player one will have will achieve higher the third spot on whatever tournament, or that he'll reach more crypto doll wins than player two by this date or something like that. There'll be a lot of options like that. The actual thing about it is when you set up an offer, an example, you say, okay, I disagree that Ethereum will reach $4,000 by the end of March. I place odds on disagreeing on that on 30-1. There has to be a player that will match the other end, like with every other order book. Like it's kind of like a mixture between trading, where you have the order book where both sides should match their order, but it's at the same time it's a prediction market and it's an odd trading market. So it's a really fun amalgamation of all those.
Well, and I see, there's so many times I've seen people on, Telegram or Twitter, and someone will say, "Oh, ICX is definitely going to this price by this date, and someone will say, no, you're crazy, and then they'll say, well, we should bet on it, and then they can't figure out a way to do that because it's it's a stranger on the internet. So this could this is almost an opportunity to kind of put your money where your mouth is and say, oh, okay, let's open let's hop over to EPICX and make an actual wager on it. And I can also see not to start forcing development ideas on you or anything like that, but even kind of, I imagine there's a way you could plug on-chain events on Icon. There's other kind of wagers you could make and say, I think Icon's going to have more than 100,000 transactions tomorrow, or, I think there's going to be by May there's going to be X number of millions of dollars of value locked up on balanced or something like that. I imagine you're able to feed in. I can hope you're able to feed into the chain a good amount to try to pick up all these data points, and then there's a lot of opportunity for expansion of as far as the betting market is concerned, right?
Yeah, definitely. We actually been thinking about that, but maybe we'll implement that on a slightly later stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are actually discussing options in which, in example, if players are interested in such options, of course, we can, in example, set markets that are related to in example, the cost of the next rare planet will be sold in Project Nebula, or which player will will first find a specific legendary planet, or how much the Icon bet dividends will be at the end of the month, or even whether a user will return their balance loan in the next week or something like that. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities. Anything that is actually happening on the blockchain, I think that we should be able to implement that. And I think that with the coming of BTP, actually, we should be able to pull information even from the other blockchains. So
right, yeah.
So that would be quite fun.
Certainly.
Yeah, that is exciting. So, what brings a typical iconist to EPICX? Like, why would iconists want to use EPICX?
Sure. Well, that's a pretty natural question to ask, because yeah, we
I think a lot of it's kind of obvious, right? It's a game and it's a chance to do things, but there's probably other reasons we can't necessarily think of right off the top of our heads that you think it would be beneficial for icons.
Well, it's all related to the actual vision that I have for the application. I'm not sure whether that's something that will happen, but that's how I imagined it. So I think that EPICX is just actually designed in a way that everyone can actually find something for themselves. And I think that the actual types of players that will find the most out of it are two main types of traders. So the first one is the inexperienced traders. The second one is the more experienced traders. I mean, I think that it's mostly like the actual like it could be used as a trading tool, as a training tool. Sorry, it could also be used as a tool to generate profits. So for the inexperienced traders, an example, it could be a really cheap and effective learning tool. It could be something that you start to learn trading with, because when you look at it like that, like the price prediction game teaches market reading skills. It just like you have to read properly the market, you have to predict it properly, and it also creates a strong habit of seeing your trade through the end. That's something that a lot of traders struggle with. When they see the market change directions, even temporarily, they get emotional, and they just forfeit their original read, no matter how good it was. That's a mistake that usually results in buy high, sell low situations, which are not very beneficial to the actual traders.
I'm a professional at
that. I think that a lot of people are actually, and I think that all of us encounter that every once in a while. So. It also shows you where you stand in terms of market reading abilities compared to the other traders. If you're falling behind on the actual application, you'll probably do so on the exchanges as well. When you look at crypto duels, something else. When you look at crypto duels, it teaches the players to diversify and back building skills as well. By mastering the skill, you'll be able to select the best options at any moment of time, and build a good portfolio without having any difficulty. And when you look at King of the Hill, this is straight up a trading simulation with just limited options and limited number of competing traders, but it's practically just trading, just in different environments. I would say for the experienced traders, though, the platform is also a great way to maximize gains. No matter if it's a bear or bull market, you can always get benefits, like you can always get gains on the platform because you just have to read the market correctly. Also, it doesn't matter whether there's liquidity or not on that specific market. You just have to have the proper market reading and decision making skills, and you have usually much higher profit on this platform than on any other exchange. The dividend structure that we have, I actually wanted to go into that dividend structure that we have. But let me just say that the dividend structure also provides a soft cushion for the beginning and the experienced traders alike, because everyone makes mistakes, no matter if they're experienced or not. Even the best traders do. But on our platform, these mistakes still generate dividends. So long term, that means that even though you make mistakes, you can still benefit from them. And combined with the bonus system, that actually could make any loss into a potential gain. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the actual. Let me go a bit deeper about the actual dividends that we have, our dividend structure. So the dividend structure is the thing that ties all these sections that we have together, like all the games together. It's in the form of a global dividend pool, which means that no matter which application, which game you're using, you're always generating generating dividends. And just the way that you receive that is we are currently building actually, but we are building an ICON-based token, and we're calling it EPICX. And when a player is using any of the games on the platform, when he's spending ICX, he'll also receive EPICX. So EPICX will be fully tradable, fully transferable, and it will serve to distribute the actual dividend pool to the players that we have. So let me just go into the actual full dividend structure, because I think that I'm hitting explaining that without explaining the actual dividend structure. So we have a dividend pool which is filled by the activity of all players on the platform. So 5% of all winnings on the platform go into the dividend pool. According to the amount of EPX that you own, you will receive higher dividends out of it. Like the amount that is distributed is not. We're not distributing the whole dividend pool on a daily or weekly basis or anything like that. We are distributing it based on the relationship between the circuit supply and the total supply of EPX. So depending on that, you have a different percentage of the dividend pool that will be distributed on a daily or weekly basis. And depending on the amount of EPX that you own, you will receive a larger cut of that. You also have the option to sell your tokens on the platform itself. So in case that you decide that you no longer would like to receive any dividends, you can just forfeit your tokens, and you will receive a direct cut of the dividend pool. That will equal that amount that you own. So, an example, if you own 10% of the circulating supply of EPX, you will receive 10% of the dividend pool straight away. So there's always the option to keep those tokens long term, or just sell them for a quick profit. So,
and I assume they'd also potentially trade on other exchanges on Icon, whether it's the exchange that's going to be on Balanced or whether maybe it's on the Unified protocol on Utrade. And that might create a whole different market dynamic in the sense that, there's value. Obviously, someone might want them because, I want to hold these because they're going to provide long-term dividends, kind of like Tap does, for instance.
Mm.
Or they might say, oh, I want to buy these just so I can hold them for a little bit and then I'll cash them in a month or something like that. So it creates, that would create a whole other interesting layer of the market and the price for those tokens too.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, when we were creating the token, we haven't been thinking about like the opportunities to trade them on exchanges,
Right.
because
Yeah.
we were thinking about our own system. But yeah, that's always a possibility
Yeah.
for
I'm,
players to trade us.
in terms of I wouldn't expect you guys to focus on, let's figure out what, we want our tokens to be worth as much as possible. Obviously, part of that's part of it. But I think just in terms of the way the community be looking at it, as far as the value of holding these, obviously not only do they pay you out directly, but there's a potential opportunity to trade them as you would any other IRC token.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I just recalled something else. I would just like to mention another aspect that could be attractive to the Iconists. Just going back to your question first. So there's a really unique opportunity, I think, with our applications where you can generate gains even if you don't play that much, or in some cases, if you don't play at all. In example, in Against the Odds, I have mentioned to you guys that every game on our platform has their own game-specific bonus. So in Against the Odds, that bonus goes actually to the market maker, and a part of it will go to the actual people involved. So in example, if you create a market about Fez winning a tournament, a part of it will go to Fez as well. So that means that if you create a market and you advertise it properly, you will receive a direct cut out of all the matched offers on the actual market. So that will mean that even without playing it, you might receive rewards out of it. You also will have like your affiliate links, where when you invite people, you receive a small percentage, of course, but nonetheless, you receive EPICX tokens when they play as well. So you can use those tokens to trade, to receive dividends, etc., etc. So there's a strong element in which, like, if you actually advertise different parts of the application, you might get rewarded for it as well.
That's kind of a nice way for you guys to create additional marketing for the platform as a whole too. Because obviously, if people are incentivized to promote, their own market, obviously that promotes the platform as a whole, which is nice. Which is nice for all the users, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Because honestly, I'm not very strong in marketing. That's not my thing. But I would love if people get excited about the app, if they're able to trade, to spread the word, if they're able to generate some income because of it. That is why I wanted to leave that as an option. Just the fact that I'm not great at marketing, that doesn't mean that these people aren't. And if they are, they might get rewarded for it.
So I think that's fair. Do you when you do all these activity on the platform, are you doing it directly from your Icon wallet like you would on maybe on IconBet or something like that? Is that correct?
What do you mean, like when you create a market?
Yeah. So if I'm participating, say I want to, instead of on traditional, obviously on a traditional site, something like this, you have to create an account, a login, a password, an email address, whatever. In this case, there's so many dApps on Icon where all you do is just you have the IconX or another extension in your browser, and you connect to a wallet, and all of a sudden you can generate, you can do all the activities from that wallet directly. Is that the case for
that's correct.
Okay.
Our application is quite similar. So on it, you just log in with your wallet, and when you just log in with your wallet, you can just you have your own account attached to it. So yeah, I think that that is quite a standard procedure on blockchain as well.
Yeah, and obviously comes with, I assume, you don't, if you win, I assume the payout's pretty much instantaneous.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it's on the Icon chain, so everything comes within like a second or two.
Yeah. So I guess, the broader point I'm making is, it's non-custodial, so it's not like some hacker can take your coins. It's not like the platform can take your coins. Everything's done by the smart contract, just like any other, like whether it's IconBet or another application you're using on Icon. So it's it's decentralization at its finest, and it's it's certainly a strong benefit of the platform.
Yeah, definitely. We are not keeping any money like in our account or anything. Everything's kept like on a smart contract. It's locked by a smart contract, and we we are not handling like any ICX ourselves. Everything is decentralized. Everything is on the actual blockchain. The only stuff that we have, like that are outside of the blockchain, are stuff that are, not as important, I would say, like something temporary, such as like a certain status or a certain medium, value. That is like an example. If you close your browser just when you come back, so you could have like you could have the same value like on your screen. But so we're keeping that on Firebase. But anything that is at the end of a round or any decision that you have made or any other value or like transaction or whatever, everything's kept on the blockchain.
Very cool. So we're getting a little short on time here, so I guess I'll kind of I'll ask what sort of timeline you guys have in terms of whether, I don't know if there's gonna be a beta version or when you guys are hoping to launch a full version or whatever, what your timeline roadmap might look like, and what if there's a marketing push kind of tied around that, and then I'll also just kind of let you finish up and say anything else that you want listeners to hear about on the platform or what you got working on or anything like that.
Sure. Makes sense. Okay, so we are actually aiming for closed beta, something like an invite-only release at the first half of March. Although we are running a lot of tests and simulations, it's always better to try stuff out with a limited player base before the full release, just to be safe.
Right.
Hopefully the beta will go well. We are expecting that to go like for a week or so. And in the second half of March, we are hoping to be able to release the platform to the public. In regards to marketing, as I mentioned before, unfortunately, that's something that I'm not great at. So hopefully we'll be able to get some help by the marketing teams on the chain. We have a lot of partnerships already with different teams that have chimed in to help us out. At this moment, we are also actively searching for a capable community manager that will cover the social media engagement for us prior and after the platform launch. Aside from that, we are of course planning price pool boosts, social media events, community challenges after the platform launch and at the actual launch. So yeah, it's standard stuff. There are a lot of exciting stuff coming though.
Very cool. And then if I imagine this interview, once people listen to it, they might have other questions, or I imagine it'll generate a lot of excitement too. What's the best place for them? If they have a question about the platform, what's the best place for them to go?
Well, they can always visit us on Telegram, on Twitter. Like they can contact me directly, or they just can go on to the EPICX channels. Like we have an EPICX channel in Telegram, we have an EPICX channel also in Twitter. We're not as active on Reddit, but we are trying to like keep up, and in case there are any questions there, we'll try to answer those as well. Yeah,
perfect.
That's
and we'll in our show notes we'll put links to all those different channels that you just mentioned, so folks can easily find them. Well, we certainly appreciate your time, and I guess if you have any other kind of any closing thoughts on your end.
Yeah, I would just like to mention that this is like the application now. The platform launch is by no means the end for us. We are planning a lot of stuff that's just coming after the launch, and also we have already set up a fee 2.0 on our system, which will be covering like all chain fees. That gives us the opportunity to be ready for expansion to other crypto chains, and so as soon as we have the BTP available, so we would easily be able to connect those respective chains while still having the application on the ICON chain and generate transactions on it. So yeah, there are a lot of stuff coming even after the launch. So we are really hoping that we have like a lot of players excited about it. And yeah, as soon as we have like interest from the players, we'll keep on improving that and making it like even better.
Well, that's awesome. I'm certainly excited, and I was certainly thrilled to hear that. It sounds like the launch is coming right around the corner. Mid-March will be no time from now. So just another thing to get really excited about in quarter one for for ICON. Fez, did you have anything else to add?
Look, I actually am excited because I believe I'm a professional trader, but I make all the wrong calls. And what I love about this is I can come onto your platform and partake in these various games, but and earn the EPICX token, which, from what I understand, after a month, if I took a break but kept holding my tokens, I would keep receiving dividends off the platform from users and etc. The way the tokenomics would work. So. That's got me excited. Like I love that aspect, you know. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I would just like to mention that we are currently looking into ways like when we expand the Acro application to other networks to expand the total supply of EPIC, EPX of our token, and to include like all the other in example, if we have the application on Ethereum, that it will generate like once again EPX, and it will be added to the same pool. So practically, you'll be receiving dividends from any player that you have on the ICON network and on the Ethereum network and on the all the other networks that we connect to. So we are really hoping to be able to set that up.
Interoperability. Look at that. Oh my God. Talk about excitement right at the end. Love it. Yeah, that is exciting.
Well, thanks, Dillian, for coming on, and we're excited to keep following the project, and we're excited for launch.
Thank you for having me, guys, and I hope that I didn't like bubble too much. I'm really excited about the launch. That's really an app that I'm looking forward to. That's something that I would like to play. So I hope that our players will like it as well.
Perfect.
Thanks so much for coming on to the podcast. Our first official guest. We love it and
Woohoo.
really appreciate your time. There was no babbling. It was all interesting and just wanted to keep asking further questions. But alas, time is on. Never our friend.
Maybe we'll have a follow up. No worries about that.
Yes, sounds good. Excellent. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, guys.
So that was a great interview, Iconographer.
Absolutely. I've been following that project for a little while now. Obviously, when it first came out as FutureICX back early, I think it was early 2020. I think the Icon community energy was probably at the lowest it's been in a while, just based on how low the price had gotten back then. So it was kind of a unfortunate launch then, but clearly, they've saw it as kind of a testing ground and a chance to kind of build up from there. And him and the team have clearly thought through a lot of different things. I've seen some kind of behind the scenes stuff that they've been working on, and it looks really, really cool. They're putting a lot of thought into it. And I thought I knew a good amount about it, but I learned a lot more today, and I'm even more excited about it than I thought I was going to be.
Yes, look, I agree. I didn't know much about the new platform. I'd used the old one, so it is great to hear how many variations and options, and very much giving the players the idea that they can create the type of game they want in each of these modes, which was great to hear. And you heard me say at the start, I genuinely loved the tokenomics involved, the idea that you can play, and then leave it and come back, and you're still reaping rewards off the platform, which is great to hear. And as usual, the BTP aspect of it, and to hear him actually say, thinking about, the DApp could operate on Ethereum and various other chains, was just, I was like, yes, this is the point of Icon. This is why Icon exists. It is not just about Icon; it's about everyone else as well. So, yeah, very excited. And you're right. You mentioned earlier how soon it was launching. Didn't realize how soon. It's quite close.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just sounds like there's a lot of potential that can go in a lot of different directions, whether it's the BTP possibilities created there, or whether it's the different types of betting markets that he was even just talking about. And I think empowering the users to do their own marketing and giving them incentive to do that will be really, really helpful for the platform. It kind of I see a bit of parallel to Icon Bet, where between they have Tap, obviously, which is their dividend token. In this case, it's similar to that, except you have having that option to decide you want to cash out and redeem a portion of the ownership that you have over that pool. I think that's a unique thing, and I'm interested to see how that plays out. And also, again, just kind of the users are incentivized to promote and advertise the platform as a whole too. So it's not entirely reliant upon this centralized entity to do all the promotion and marketing. It's really put in the hands of the users, and it's a kind of a it's a again another decentralization of marketing approach there.
Yep. Okay, excellent. Look, it's been a pleasure. Today is a first again, with our first interview. Just, as usual, want to call out that everything you've heard in this episode, it's not financial advice. These are our views, our thoughts, and we're just talking it out loud. And we really hope you enjoyed all the latest news that's come about for Icon, and you enjoyed our first interview, and are excited about their DApp that's going to be launching very soon. Any final words, Iconographer?
I'm just looking forward to what the next week of Icon has to bring. The last few have been getting more and more exciting.
Oh, look, I loved when nBlaze mentioned $50 and $100, as a thing. I was like, yes, please, okay.
Yeah, we won't object to that.
No, exactly. Okay, excellent. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Again, you like our content, share it around, get it out there, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.